Any questions from the chat room?
Yes, there's been quite a few. Richard Purvis asks, when is the right time to approach a distributor like yourself, and how can the distributor help in the pre-production financing phase?
They can't. The days when a filmmaker will give you... If you were to come to myself or any distributor and you say, I've got Sean Connery for this film, and he so loves it, he's doing it for £1.50, then there's a stampede where everybody wants to do it. The reality is that most micro-budget filmmakers aren't going to have anybody that means anything. And there are so many films out there, so we don't even have to finance films. And distributors will finance a film because there's something about that film that they know before it's made will probably get them their money back and make some money besides. So you're wasting your time, I think, trying to get a distributor involved. You've just got to try and make it yourself and then show it to distributors. The best way is to stagger it. I'm forever going to screenings where filmmakers have, and all the distributors are in the room. Every single UK distributor's there. And I always sit through the entire film, but you can see people from Lionsgate leaving, or from Optimum, or Pathé, or whoever. And then the filmmaker rings me the next day and goes, oh yeah, our film was really successful. Lionsgate love it, as do Pathé, as do Optimum. Now nobody walks out of a film if they like it. So if you stagger it, we don't know who else has seen it at the same time, but it's expensive. It's going to cost you £400 to have a private screening.
Right. So any other questions?
Yeah. Well, I think you probably answered the question that Sasha the Slasher most wanted to ask.
Sasha the Slasher.
She wanted to know how having big stars involved in an indie film helps with its distribution. So I guess if
it helps enormously, but you just can't be. You've got to be realistic. I mean, people come to me with the most extraordinary names, and by and large, a movie star is not going to do a film. They're only a movie star for a very short space of time. Excuse me, can you get some water, please? So they're only there for a very short space of time, and as a star, so they're going to maximise that by getting as much money as possible. I don't know what I swallowed.
This is a new technical problem for us.
Yeah. And so you're more likely to get a television star, because television stars are desperate to do films. You've got to get the right television star. You know, having somebody like Peter Firth in White Angel, which Chris got. You know, Peter's had done a lot of films and a lot of television, and he was in a phase of doing lots of TV, so he agreed to do Chris's film for not very much money at all, because he wanted to get back to doing movies. And that helped, because Peter's a good name. He's starring in Spooks at the moment. He was Oscar nominated. It's getting them at the right time. The other thing is finding them. Their agents are going to block you. If you're not going to pay them £100,000 a week or whatever, they don't really want to know you, so it's very hard to get to them.
Right. So, okay, then just wrapping it up, David, what mistakes have you personally seen repeatedly happen? Just one or two big ones that filmmakers do.
The biggest mistakes are always people thinking their films are better than they are. I have a film which is a very big film. It's cost a lot of money to make. And the filmmakers were offered, the first day in Cannes it showed, and they were made an offer from a UK distributor, a broadcaster moving into a distributor, and of £800,000 for the UK. And they thought, well, that's it. This is the first offer. We're going to get loads. And they waited and waited and waited. And 2 years went by and they never got another offer. And I finally picked up this film for nothing. And I've licensed
because,
it
of course, that £800,000 offer dissipated.
They said no to it, and that £800,000 offer went somewhere else. The people aren't just sitting there with £800,000 in their back pocket. So you've got to know the timing. You've got to take advice from people. Is that too many times films come to me, because I specialise in the difficult films, the films that other people have passed on. It's sometimes 2 years that people come to me, and that's a real problem for me, because I'm then going to Cineworld and View and Odeon and saying, I've got this marvellous film, it's brilliant, and they go on IMDb. It's so easy now to know when something was made, and they go, David, this was made 2 years ago. The rule of thumb is you either release it in the year of copyright of the film or the year after. So I'm often going a year after that, or even a year after that. So that suddenly exhibitors, broadcasters, Amazon, HMV and people are going, there must be something really wrong with it, because it's taken a long time to get to marketplace. The rule of it, a lot of people think that films are like fine wine and they will mature with age. Sadly, most films are like fish, and the longer you leave them, the more there's a bad spell about them. No matter how good they are, is that within 12 months there's a whole batch of new films. And 12 months from being released in the marketplace, your film is a back catalogue item, whether you like it or not, whether it's Avatar or whether it's White Angel or it's a tiny budget film.
Okay, so final question. Just, you know, in one sentence or two sentences, what advice would you offer a new filmmaker?
Go on. Make the very, very, very best film you can. Too many of the films that come to me, too many of the films I've actually distributed are not as good as they could be, because you may never, ever, ever get to make another film. The Screen Finance did a survey a few years ago, and it showed that 86% of all first-time directors never went on to direct another film.
Right. Right.
And that's very sobering.
Right.
So really make it good. That's why Adam and Paul is a brilliant film. And I don't have the DVD rights, so I'm not going to make any money by plugging it. But you should see it, because that script was 37 or 39 drafts of that script written continuously for 1.5 years. And every line is brilliant. It's very important to the ongoing story within the film.
So a massive commitment to excellence is the only way you're going to get through it at every stage of the whole process. 20
years later, you could be in, you know, a garret crying because your career hasn't gone the way it wanted, and looking at the film and going, I could have made that so much better. And it's too late then. You really only do get one chance.
Okay, well, David, thank you very much for choosing to spend your evening with us in this crazy production